Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be testing Cyberpunk out on my 4080 Super. I'm going to be doing it at 4K, so we've got that set here. At first, I'm going to be using the ray tracing overdrive preset, so that does set. I'm going to set DLSS upscaling to quality. We'll switch that on here. We've got ray reconstruction on, frame generation on. I've also got path tracing on, and then we've got the graphic settings obviously set to the ray tracing overdrive preset, so that's everything maxed out. I think apart from screen space reflections, that it sets to ultra. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so we're around about the 50 to 60 mark in here. It's definitely going to dip down under 50 once we get into the dense city area. So you're looking at it closer to in the 40s here. Still holding just about 50. There we go, 49. So definitely going to be some areas where it dips down. But I think overall probably fairly similar performance to a 4080 really. It's really not massively different. Like you're looking at probably less than 5% here. Increase over it.
Suspect's vehicle has been located. Details have been sent.
I think the real only benefit is that it's obviously a fair bit cheaper. I think it's about £200 to £300 cheaper, this Super model, when I bought it compared to when I bought my 4080. So obviously, even if it was getting the same performance, that's obviously a good upgrade to it. The fact that it's significantly cheaper, still holding similar performance. VRAM's not looking too bad. We're at about 14 gig here. Obviously, we've got 16 gig on this. There's no update to the VRAM. Same amount of VRAM as the 4080 had. Power as well doesn't look too much different. We're at 300. It's fairly similar to what my 4080 would be doing. But yeah, it seems to mostly hold around that 50 FPS mark. So the combat here, I think, is probably going to be slightly harder with DLSS quality. Still roughly between the 50 and 60, so FPS-wise, it's not that bad. It's just, for me, the latency, especially when you're shooting. I feel like you can feel that quite badly, like this. So I'm now going to switch DLSS to auto, which is normally what the ray tracing overdrive preset is actually using. I just normally like to have a quick look at DLSS quality, just because I think with those settings is the least amount of quality loss normally. Obviously with auto here, we get significantly higher FPS. I shouldn't dip below 60. So yeah, seems to want to hold around about this 75 to 80 area. Even in the combat, it holds quite nicely with auto on. I'm now going to take a look at 4K native. So we've got 4K still set here. I've got DLSS upscaling off, frame generation off. We've still got path tracing on with all the other graphic settings maxed out. So look at this. 12 FPS. So obviously wasn't expecting this to really be very good. I thought I'd just have a quick look, see roughly where it's at. I know a 4090, I think, from what I remember, is roughly 25 to 30 FPS in that area. So you're looking at, this is about half. I'm still at 4K native, but I'm going to take a look with ray tracing and path tracing off. So graphics-wise, we've still got everything maxed out. See roughly what it can do here. It has over doubled my FPS, obviously, from having path tracing on. We had kind of 10 to 15, and now we're looking at about 40, so that's definitely a lot better. It's a shame we're not getting 50 to 60, so even without ray tracing and path tracing, it's still can't run it at 4K. I'm going to take a look, dropping all the settings to high instead of ultra, just to see if we can push 60 FPS. At 4K native, and it looks like that does give us the 60. Quite a significant jump in FPS there between ultra and high. At about 40, 45, now we're up to 70, so... but at least we know roughly what's going to give you 60. It seems to be holding up just about. So there's definitely potential there to change your settings a little bit. graphics wise. Almost dipping under 60 there, but just about holding it, 61. I'm going to be taking a look at 1440p, so we've got that selected here. Graphics wise, we've got DLSS set to quality, ray reconstruction on, frame generation on, path tracing on, and then we've got all the graphics at higher ultra again. Okay, so there's a huge increase in FPS here. All the way from 40 to 50 to we're getting over 100 in this area. Just quite a big increase dropping down to 1440p. Obviously, this then becomes easily playable at 1440p, so if you're going to want to use ray tracing, it's probably going to be best to switch down to 1440p. But as you'd expect, VRAM's down a little bit as well, about 11.5 now. Probably see that creep up to 12 in and around there, but that's about 2 gig less than what we had at 4K. So a little bit nicer there. Power as well looks like it's down by about 20 watts maybe. So I'll have a little drive around. Should stay above 100 FPS by the looks of it. Can't see it dropping too much under. Still getting these quite low 0.1% lows, but that's mainly down to the autosave feature in the game, I think. Every time it autosaves, it seems to give me a bit of a stutter. So dipping slightly under 100 here. So we'll see if the FPS drops at all in the combat. Looks like it's roughly still around about 100, which is good. Doesn't drop too much. I'm going to take a look at 1440p native now. So we've got DLSS switched off, frame generation off. I've still got path tracing switched on with all the graphics set to ultra. So it's not going to be particularly amazing FPS wise, but I was curious to see roughly how it would do. So it looks like we had 10 to 15 FPS at 4K with these settings. You're probably looking at an average of 36, but you're probably looking at, yeah, 30 to 35, something like that. So maybe just slightly over double than what we had at 4K. So it's obviously a lot better, but it's still not going to be amazing to play like this at 30 FPS. You're looking at more probably 1080p and even 1080p native with path tracing. I still think that I'd probably not be at 60. I'm still at 1440p native here, but I'm just going to have a look with normal ray tracing. So I've switched path tracing off. So we're hovering around the 50 to 60 area by the looks of it. Probably some dips down closer to 50. Looking at an average of 53 at the moment. But this, with settings like this, you're going to get the best of both situations. So you're still able to use ray tracing, but without dropping your FPS too much, and you can kind of hover around that 60 area, which I think is fairly acceptable for this game. I'm going to take a look at 1440p with ray tracing off, so we've got that switched off here. The rest of the graphics are still set to ultra. So this should be easily playable like this. Looks like we're pushing over 100 FPS here. So definitely going to be a lot better to run it like this compared to even at 4K where we couldn't quite even hold 60. VRAM's down quite a bit here. We're under 8 gig now. Looks about 7.5, so it's down pretty significantly from having path tracing and ray tracing on. GPU power as well actually hasn't changed that much. It's around about 300. It doesn't really fluctuate too much. Hovers around the kind of 270 to 300 area for most of the settings we've tested. I'm at 1080p now, so we've got that set here. I've got DLSS switched off, so we're at native 1080p, and I'm going to check it out with path tracing on. All the other settings are set to ultra. So I was mostly curious to see at what point we're able to run path tracing at native resolutions. And it seems like 1080p is just about that at 60. Got an average of 59. It's hovering between 58 and 62 by the looks of it there. So just shows you how demanding path tracing is. I'm still at 1080p, but I'm now going to switch DLSS quality on. We've got ray reconstruction on, frame generation on, still with path tracing on, so should have significantly higher frames than what we just had at native. And yeah, it looks like we're pushing almost 150 FPS, so that's obviously a big difference. That's going to be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to drop a like on the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the graphics card so far, and I'll catch you next time.